allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And roll call.
Okay. Member Galban?
Here.
Member Earl?
Here.
Member Bicknell?
Present.
Member Schill?
Here.
Member Pache?
Here.
Member Raffinelli? Chair Taylor?
Present. All right, are there any late changes to the agenda?
No late changes to the agenda, Chair.
All right, if there are no further late changes, the minutes stand, or the agenda stands as approved. Public comment. Anyone requesting to speak to the board regarding all items not subject to specific public hearing may come forward at this time. Please state your name and limit comments to 3 minutes. Written comments may be submitted to the clerk prior to the meeting.
Hi, I'm Holly. I am not a
Oh, Holly, if you may, could you turn on the mic? There's a button at the top of it. It'll turn blue. Thank you, Holly.
Hi, I'm Holly. I'm not a public speaker, so here we go. I'm proposing an idea to put some trees in the Ridgefield Dog Park. I go there all the time, and especially when the sun is out, I hear people say how they wish that there was shade there and that there was more trees for them and their dogs to hang out under, because there's one sad little tree in the middle, and after 11 a.m., there's no shade the rest of the day. So I called Grow, which is a local nursery and landscaping company, and they said that they would be willing to donate 10 to 12 trees to go to the Ridgefield Dog Park. They are flowering pear trees and sunset maple trees. I spoke to the office manager, Alba. They said that they would be willing to donate them, but we'd have to pick them up and plant them. My dad and I would be willing to pick them up and take them there. And he works with David, the farm foreman, and he can help plant them. The total cost would probably be around $200 for everything for the planting. We would have to think about irrigation to make sure that the trees get watered and can stay strong. These are really good sized trees. The trunks are like this. They're not starting off as little dinks or anything. We'd probably come up with a map with you guys and see where we could plant it, plant all of them. And we should make sure the ground is wet before we plant them, which would probably be October-ish. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much, Holly.
Thank you.
And I thought you did a great job. All right. For consent agenda, approval of minutes for the June 11th, 2025 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from that meeting?
I move to approve the minutes from the June 11th Parks Board meeting.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. For our presentation, we have 2 presentations this evening. The first is the partnership update for Davis Park for native plants and the flower bed improvements. Mr. Crownhart.
Wonderful, and thank you, Chair and Parks Board. Before I dig into our presentation today, I'll just share for the general public that if you have comments or ideas on how to improve or do some plantings inside of our parks, please come up and grab a business card, and I can happily coordinate with you after, at a later date. But we definitely find ways to engage the public in some of our service projects. And in fact, our presentation today is specifically about one of these that's been really successful. So today we are providing you an update, Parks Board, on the Davis Park Native Plant Project that the Ridgefield Garden Club brought to Parks Board and was subsequently approved by council last year. We're excited to have them here to help be a part of this, but prior to them coming up to share some of their reflections of what it's been like for them, we as staff would like to provide you an update of how it's impacted our operations at the city. So for this presentation, we'll start by going over just a little bit of the background of the project because we do have some new Parks Board members. We'll talk about the project activity to date, how it's impacted our operations, and then we'll have the Ridgefield Garden Club come up and share their thoughts. Next slide. So a quick summary of the project. So Davis Park is one of our oldest parks in the city of Ridgefield, and historically it was actually donated to the city by the Ridgefield Garden Club many years ago. And so this park has a special place in many of our residents' hearts. And when there was an opportunity to have the Ridgefield Garden Club participate in some of the maintenance and operations and renovation of some of the flower beds, we were happy to find ways to help facilitate that. As part of our code updates last year, our Ridgefield Municipal Code 8.18.060, Park Maintenance and Operations, Council and Parks Board can approve permanent improvements to some of our flower beds. So they submitted a full plan of what plants would be placed within the 2 garden beds they would update, and they've agreed to a 2-year maintenance agreement of those flower beds, at which point we'd review how it's been going and consider continuing that relationship. So I'm happy to report that this was adopted by council in winter of 2024, and this spring it was planted by the Ridgefield Garden Club. Next slide. So let's talk about the maintenance and operations. Not only does the flower bed, the native plants flower bed, provide many positive ecological impacts for the park, such as wildlife, bug life, educational components for the community, it actually saves us money, which is a benefit to this community. So as of right now, this saves about 6 to 10 maintenance hours per year for our maintenance team. So when you start looking at costs, that's a large amount of money that's being used to maintain other parts of our parks because of this partnership. It's also eliminated things like the use of pesticides within these flower beds, and it has reduced the amount of weeding that needs to take place in them. One of the components that's really helpful is that we don't have to do debris removal. When you start looking at the 175 acres of parkland that we oversee throughout the city, if you have mowed your own lawn, you know that there is a lot of debris that is left over afterwards. With 175 acres, there's a ton of it. And so by having a flower bed like this, we are demonstrating that some of the materials, some debris, can be left in place to decompose and be part of the natural environment as it is meant to be, which is helpful for us because it helps create the argument that we don't have to have as much debris, because we have to pay for the removal of that debris. We have to drive trucks to put that in its particular locations. So all of that saves us resources, saves us time, and is better for the environment. One of my favorite impacts about this project has actually been the community engagement. The Ridgefield Garden Club has taken pride and ownership of this space, are constantly maintaining it, and you will notice that there are many individuals in the community who are stopping by to read the signs, read the plant markers, and are just seeing the difference between what does a native plant bed look like versus other plant beds that we have within our city. So with that, I would like to welcome up Ms. Carol Tucko to give a small update on their reflections of this project.
Good evening, Parks Board. Thank you for the invitation to be here. I so appreciate it. And I am representing the Ridgefield Garden Club, not myself. You've been given a packet. We were hoping we could get them up, but probably not compatible with the system or something. Anyway, we actually planted it at the end of October because the fall is a great time to plant native plants. So we gathered, we had talk about a partnership, John Mall and his magic machine came in and scooped out all the iris and the other non-native plants that we wanted to get rid of. Kelly and his crew brought in 15 yards of soil. Then we purchased 10 yards of mulch from a farm here in Ridgefield and spread that on and got to work and put in 25 different species, 72 plants altogether. And I'm happy to say we've had no loss of plants so far this year that I'm aware of. On page 2, the garden takes root. We've been watering. I'm keeping track of that so far. We've spent a total of 7 hours doing watering. We're hand watering so that we get deep watering around the shrubs and the trees. The wildflower seed that we spread, Heather and I spread some later, and that did come up. You'll see lupin, columbine, meadow foam, and other. Those need no water. They take care of themselves because it's an annual. But these perennials, for the first 2 years, they'll need heavy watering this year, moderate watering next year. By the time we turn it over to the city, it won't need any watering. Those native plants will take care of themselves. And they actually do better without watering them because their roots have gone so deep. On the next page, you'll see this lovely photo that was sent to Mitzi. Mitzi is back here and put these slides together. That was sent to her from the mother of this little girl, unsolicited, in a timely fashion. So we put it in here to show you what Corey was speaking about. People stop and look. They look at the signs that we put up that describe the process and what native plants do for the environment. And we also put rocks by each plant that has the name of the plant so people can learn the names of the plants if they so choose. And on the last page, you'll see the 2 photos that are in here. This is the day we planted it, looks like that. And today it looks like the photo on the right, August 2025. So it has, the plants have grown, they've thrived. They're doing exactly what they love to do, which is be healthy and successful. So we consider that this project is a huge success. And if I may, I'll put in a plug. We're going to do a native plant sale at Birdfest in October again. So if you would like some plants in your yard, come see us. Thank you.
Quick question, Carol.
Yes.
The watering there in that location, did you have access to water, or did you have to bring it in like they do at the flowering pots?
We have watering carts that Judy Reel and Tevis designed, and we have one parked at the library with their position, so we just bring it over from the library and do it. We started out watering with the neighbor that lives just to the north, offered his hose. His name is Mike. But when water restrictions came along, we felt very compelled to not use his water because of the restrictions. So we went back to the watering cart, and that's what we're using.
Okay. I'm just curious, just for other future projects, the success of this, was great, that you didn't have a faucet right there, so it still worked without a faucet. And
Right.
So other
you
projects.
have to haul it to the plants. But
Do, yeah.
if you target it, it doesn't take all that much, as you
No.
can see, time-wise. 7 hours total, that's not a lot for the summer. And of course, you don't have to water it in the fall, winter, spring when we're getting our lovely rains. And I wanted to add a note that weeding-wise, we've spent 3 hours. And a lot of that is the little iris are trying to come up, so we're staying on top of that to not have that come back. We expect that will taper off as we keep them out of there.
Do those choke out native plants, the iris, or are they just take up too much space? They multiply, correct?
If you would like to see an example of the berm on the east side of the park, on the other side of the playground, still has clumps of iris. They get big. And you can see what an example is. We don't want them back in there because they're not native, and they would eventually choke out and kill the smaller plants.
Okay.
And that the bigger plants would tussle with them. Yeah. Other questions?
Thank you.
I do. Do you plan to do that other bed eventually too, where the other irises are, or?
Well, it's been brought up, it's being considered, but we also would consider a partnership with the city where we will do it together, perhaps,
And maybe bring in the schools.
to be continued.
Can I make a recommendation, just a thought to put in your mind, because it's nice to have partnerships. The Boy Scouts, when they're working on their Eagle Scout project for their badge, are always looking for things like this. Like, say, they would do all of the organization, the timing, they would gather the supplies, equipment, volunteers. It would be under the guidance of the Garden Club. And they've done it about 6 times, I think, in Ridgefield for different trails and parks. Ron was hot on getting an Eagle Scout to do every project that he worked on. I could see that, like, if trees needed to be planted in, say, the dog park, that an Eagle Scout, because that's how they gain their badge.
Sure, I could see if an Eagle Scout comes to Parks and wants to do that.
It's real easy to call the Boy Scouts and go, who do you
Give us a
have
call
that's
and-
need,
and,
because
we-
they're calling all the time saying, we need a project, can you come up with an idea for
Yeah,
us? And
yeah.
things like organizing the Eagles View Park, at the end of South Main was an Eagles project.
Yes.
Took just, the weekend, one day over the
Sure.
weekend, so.
Yep. Great.
So it's just something to keep in mind if you think, well, we're tired of doing all these ourselves, get an Eagle Scout to, you could oversee
Well,
them.
we didn't do it all ourselves. We had some help from the parks.
Okay.
And I just want to say thank you so much, all of you, for your time. And also, I had no idea that the Garden Club had donated that to the city. Davis Park. That's really cool to
Yeah.
know that.
Thank you.
Can I add on that iTuna? It's a club at the high school. I'm the president of it, so we're also looking for partnerships. So if you guys ever wanted to reach us out, we would also be willing to help with the
And-
planting.
Tell me the name of the club again?
iTuna, it stands for International Teens Upholding Nature Association.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Right. Our second presentation for this evening is the Parks and Trails Graphic Sign Standards Manual. And Mr. Crownhart, once again, is our presenter.
Lucky me. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you, Chair and Parks Board. I want to give you an update on the Parks and Trail Graphic Signage Standards Manual. Very long title for just our way of saying, what do we want our signs to look like? We've talked about this as a Parks Board many times over the past few years, and we talked about it extensively last year, and even put together some specific signage that you recommended to council to be part of a standard for the city. As those standards were provided to council, it was requested that staff put together a Parks and Trail Graphic Signage Standards Manual so that as new parks are coming online for the city, we can use this as the rough template for designers and developers to use to help put these signs together. As each individual sign is created and approved, then those would go to council for official approval for placement, and then we can put those into our parks. But today we wanted to take a moment and show you this graphic signage manual, get some of your general feedback and thoughts on the overall project. Perfect, next slide. A little bit of background. You all provided feedback on signage back in 2022 as well as in 2024, and you approved a sign standard in Q4 of last year. Our engineering standards, which were adopted in May and was a big project of Parks Board and Council, created a Section 7, which required that all signage in Ridgefield parks must follow the city's style guide and Parks and Recreation sign guidelines. That is specifically this manual we're showing you today. So let's jump into what the manual actually looks like. Now, it is 2025, so the manual is actually not a paper manual. It is a website that is live and available for the public and for designers and developers to see day in and day out. It also allows us to make any updates or changes quickly and easily without having to print off more things. And then everybody can always have the most up-to-date sign standards. So if we scroll down a little bit, it starts off with our standard logo and colors for the city. So first and foremost, when designing signage and graphics for the city of Ridgefield, the councils decided they would like to have a brand that is recognizable. If any of you were to go visit a national park in our country, you would recognize same fonts, same colors, you'd see the arrowhead, but that style is consistent throughout the park system and helps build that brand of place and where you are. Same thing for the city of Ridgefield, so we have our standard information on logos, colors, and placements. Scrolling further down, you'll reach fonts, which does the same thing. What types of fonts do we use for the city? Scrolling a little further down, you've got symbols. So there are lots of different types of symbols that could be used for our parks, and these are the ones that have been put forward. This uses our colors, our style, and the brand that we would like to see on those signage. Scrolling a little further down, we've got 6 particular types of signs that are specified in the engineering standards, and therefore there are 6 signs specified in the signage manual. The first is a community park monument sign. This sign is a unique sign for each community park. We have, I believe, 6 community parks in our city right now. Those are Abrams Park, Davis Park, Overlook Park, Horns Corner Park, Greeley Park, and soon to be Paradise Point Park. So each of those, there's 7. The Rourke is the other one. These are our large parks that serve large parts of our community. Therefore, it's been determined that each of these community parks should have a unique, distinctive sign that is tailored specifically to that park. For example, Abrams Park has a sign that was designed by Eagle Scouts. Is actually who built that sign. That sign is specific to Abrams, and if you took that same style of sign and you put it up at the Rourke, it wouldn't really fit. So at the Rourke, we have more of a technical, high-tech sign to match the professionalism of that type of space. So it's asking that every community park have a monument sign that is specific to it. For Paradise Point, the new park that's being built in our city, and will actually have a name dedicated to it tomorrow at our council meeting, we're already working with the developers on what that community park monument sign will look like. They've already submitted designs, plans, are getting those approved by our building department, and all they need now is the name. Next up, in terms of our 6 signs, is our park rules and etiquette sign. This specifies the park rules, what the code requirements are, and has information in multiple languages. Same thing with the trail rules and etiquette sign. Next up is the information kiosk. This is a large sign that's placed in parks to help show a map of where things are and help provide some interpretive information. Next is an interpretive sign, which helps tell a story about the place that you're at. And then finally, a trail hazard sign to keep users safe. We could talk about these all we want, but let's look at some pictures. This is where they start getting good. So, trails, rules, and etiquette sign. This is the design that's been put forward with 2 separate signs placed on a single post, where the top sign is unique to that individual trail. It would also specify who maintains that trail and who owns that trail, because many of our trails in the city of Ridgefield are actually owned and maintained by HOAs, but to the end user, these are all connected assets. The sign below that, the trail rules sign, is the same sign that would be placed at every trailhead in the city, so that there is that consistency across our system. Scrolling further down, we've got our park rules and etiquette, and everything I said about the trail sign also applies here. You would see park rules and etiquette signs likely at every entrance into a park as opposed to just one placed within them. We're really looking at where does it make sense. So for example, Abrams Park is a very large park. If you just place one of these at the entrance by the bridge, you miss those residents who are walking into the park from north, south, east, and west of that park that may not be using the bridge. Next up is our information kiosk. The content that's on this sign is just a placeholder. What we're trying to do is provide a visual representation of what a information kiosk would look like. So a 3-foot by 4-foot large sign placed at a community park that may tell you information about, say, perhaps the disc golf course in Abrams Park. It may have a map of where other assets or other parks are around you, or where trails are. It may tell a story of who is the family that may have farmed the property that you're walking on. All of those different types of things could be put in there, and each one would be unique to its specific location. Next is an information kiosk. These are typically the signs you see placed at like 45-degree angles as you're walking along a trail to help, again, tell a story of a place that you're at. Typically with interpretive signs, you see them, in a series, so you're learning a story as you're walking along a trail. And then finally, we have trail hazard signs. For anybody who has ever biked or ran on our trails, there are blind corners, and so we want to help notify users when those blind corners are coming up. So it would be identifying those locations and then placing these signs to help users recognize where there may be hazards. We would also be placing these at every crossing with roads as well. Because we have signs to help educate drivers, we want to have some signs on our trails to help notify our recreational users. Now below that, we have an example of where these signs might be placed within a park. This is to help designers kind of plan out where they're going to be placing these items. And then finally at the bottom, we've got links to our specific assets so they can download the shape files and the Adobe PowerPoint or whatever files they need so that they can update those. That is the overall manual. Do you have any questions or thoughts?
And this manual has been approved, or is it still in the work process?
It has been approved.
Has been approved.
What's the timeline this time around for getting these signs up?
It's going to be cost is our challenge.
Okay.
So what we're doing right now is actually implementing a process by which we are dedicating some of our operations and maintenance funds every year to update a certain number of signs. So instead of having specific project money set aside for sign updates, we will be utilizing funds in our off-season to be updating these signs.
One more question for the Davis Park one, because that one doesn't really have a unique sign. I know, like, I think it was end of last year, we were talking about a sign. Did whatever happened with that one? I know we were supposed to come back to it. I don't think we ever had a final design. Where's that in that process?
We did not have a final design, and it's still coming down to the cost.
Okay.
So, will the first sign be the Paradise unnamed that we know of park as of right now?
As of right now, they'll have the Paradise Point Park, that whatever name it ends up having.
Okay.
It will have a community park monument sign, which is already being designed. It will also have your park rules and etiquette sign that is in this manual. They will also be placing those throughout the park. So that'll be our first park that has a full representation of what these signs will look like. And I anticipate that once we have one park with these signs, there will be more demand for those to be placed in all of our parks.
Right. Is there any other questions, Beth or John?
No, I don't have any questions. I know we talked about this previously, so it's just, just trying to see if there's any new information being presented.
Right.
No questions from me, but I do like the online style guide. I think it's really well done. And I hope it's a well-utilized resource.
Yeah, I know Beth has been a big advocate of this, so thank you, Beth.
Thanks, Bridget. We all have. I'm really pleased to see this finally there. So it's exciting.
Yeah. Well, there's no further questions, that ends our presentations and we'll move on to our business. And we have one item today, and that is the consideration of approval for the 2025 Parks Board Work Plan Quarter 2 report. And our presenter once again is Mr. Corey Crownhart.
Thank you again. All right, as you are aware, every year the Parks Board has to submit a work plan to City Council to help outline their work for the year. And each quarter, you're required to report on that work. As such, I've put together this Quarter 2 report of your activities over the past quarter. You've previously been provided this document, so I hope that you've all had an opportunity to review it. Some of the key updates on here that I wanted to share with you is that we have completed the capital facilities plan for parks. We have updated the code for the parks. We have a new youth member on our board. Congratulations. There was a Parks and Trails tour that was part of our policymakers tour on July 1st. And we have a number of operational projects that are on track, including the Parks Revenue Program that we'll be discussing more in September. We'll be updating our user agreements. So next month, I'm happy to share that we'll likely have the Ridgefield Little League coming to present on their work for the year and what their attendance numbers have been and enrollment numbers, which will be a good way to see how are our parks being used. We talked about signage today. Engineering standards have been complete, so congratulations on that. And then we have a number of capital projects, including tearing down the caretaker house. We will be breaking ground for Boyce Park within the next, I believe, 20 days. We just awarded the contract, and that will be complete by the end of September. Ridgefield Wildlife Refuge Access Project, or G Creek North Trail, is in its design phase as of right now. Greeley Parkland has been the transaction has now closed, so that is actually complete. So Greeley Park has actually expanded by about 8 acres. So a lot of it is wetland and more natural spaces, but it is part of our park system now. Onzo Nature Play Area, we have a rough design and are working to help fit it within the budget that we have. I just need to schedule a meeting with previous Mayor Onslow to discuss it. So I'm sure there's a member here that could help me with that. We had some operational equipment that had to be replaced, and that has been purchased and added to our fleet. And then finally, we have our Ridgefield Recreation and Community Center, which is on track. I will provide you a full update on that project during my staff report after these business items. I know you're all very eager to hear that, and I'm very eager to provide it. Rourke Fieldhouse has been constructed, and we are putting together the operation plan with the school district. And Overlook Park, the splash pad project is ongoing. It has been very long and tenuous. We have worked with the contractor who has completed their work of sealing the system, and the designer of the splash pad is now coming to the city to get their system to operate. I do want to remind you that the city has spent $0 on splash pad for this year. This has been ensuring that our contracts are being upheld and work is being completed. So we do not have an opening date. It will be open when it is safe for the community, which has been what I've told you all along. So that is the overall update for your report, but it is your report, so an opportunity for you to provide feedback or thoughts.
Is there discussion?
Obviously, just a quick question on splash pad.
Yes.
Is it the same contractor? Because I know initially it was like through end of July they had in order to try to fix that part. So are we still working with the same people to try to get it running, or are we now moving on to a new contractor?
I can say that we are officially, as of this week, we are working with a designer to come in and work on the designing component. The designer is the one who helped put it all on paper. The contractor is the one who built it. So the contractor has sealed the system. They have now stepped off. The fence that is up there is actually our fence and not their fence. So there were 2 fences up there for a couple of days if anybody was really closely paying attention. So their equipment is now off-site, and the designer will be coming in to make those operational changes.
The designer that's coming in, they're going to make any changes to the design of it above ground?
it's open for discussion, may or may not. It depends on what they're providing.
Okay.
Sorry, I know originally our approved plan for the splash pad did have more design in the upper, the exterior layer of the park, so I don't know. The only way that could be included in the design is if there was budget for it, correct?
There's been some discussions on where those operational enhancements can be placed, but in terms of adding more budget, that's not what's been part of the project at this point.
Okay.
But if they're going in to do some work, they might do some enhancements, make it function more, help it function properly, and be able to adhere to the public health standards that we're required to hit. So if they have to make those changes, then those are the ones that they'll be permitted to make.
So far, is the plan to keep the operation underground, or is there a possibility for it to be brought above ground?
As of right now, it's to keep it underground.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so there's, just to clarify, there's gonna be no addition of like
No additional features.
features. Okay, okay.
Is there any other discussion?
I'm just curious, the additional features, is that not a violation of any agreement that they had made on what was going to be delivered?
What they are required to deliver is what was approved in the initial plans. So there's no additions beyond what was in the initial plans, which the initial
Okay,
plans
there are
had.
some of the things that we saw in the initial plan considered to be something that might be a part of a later phase? Because I feel, I just get the sense that we didn't get what we paid for. I have to be honest.
Yeah, that is, those are, I know that we are working diligently to make sure that we get as much of the product that we are getting the product that we paid for, to ensure that it's working properly, so.
Okay, yeah, well, it's a difficult thing, and I know it's still, a lot is in play, so thanks for navigating it. Any information that can be shared is helpful, because there's an awful lot of public conversation about it, and I just want to make sure we're sharing accurate information.
Absolutely. We keep our Ridgefield Roundtable page updated so we can ensure that people are aware of what's happening down there.
Yeah. Thanks, Corey.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything to say about the second quarter report? I'm excited about Boyce Park and that it's trucking right along. I do just want to say, and I don't know where this fits, but I just would like it brought up to council, Mr. Crownhart, that somewhere in there I'd like to see the connectivity really be focused on up to the above portion of Pioneer where the new development is. I every day drive up there and get worried. So I think as a board, I know several members, I just would like that to be focused on also.
Yeah, I feel like there's been so many more kids riding their bikes on that road too recently, like more than I've ever seen before, and especially with electric bikes, they're riding them. But yeah, it's getting utilized. They just don't have a safe path for them.
I'll ensure that that is shared with council.
Thank you. Anybody else have discussion?
Not to add to the controversy, but I was playing on the pickleball court, the only one in Ridgefield, since I know where it is now, and there was some older people that came and wanted to play doubles, and then somehow it came up that I was on the Parks Board, and so then they had a lot of thoughts about pickleball courts, and there's a lot of conversation in the community about this as well, and it's not going away. Yeah, anyways.
I think those are comments and feedback that's going to be really helpful, especially as we step into our Parks, Recreation, and Open Spaces plan, which is slated for 2026.
Perfect.
So next year we'll be spending a lot of time working with consultants on what that plan looks like. And I'm sure that pickleball will be very high on that list.
All right. Well, if there's no further discussion, can we make a motion to approve the 2025 Parks Board Work Plan second quarter report as presented?
I motion to approve the 2025 Parks Board Work Plan Q2 report. Or do I say, was that right?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
sounds great. All in
I'll
favor?
second that.
Second.
Oh, sorry.
We'll second it, yeah. Sorry.
All in
John, yeah,
favor?
yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. And we've come to our last public comment. Anyone requesting to speak to the board regarding all items not subject to a specific public hearing may come forward at this time. Please state your name and limit comments to 3 minutes. Written comments may be submitted to the clerk prior to the meeting. All right, we're gonna move on to staff reports.
Thank you, Chair. Much appreciated. A couple of things I want to update you on. Some council activity. Tomorrow is a city council meeting where we will be discussing the Paradise Point PUD Park name dedication. So your recommendations will go to them tomorrow for further discussion, and they will settle on a name for the park. Thank you for your feedback on that. I'll also add that tomorrow's council meeting is a very special one because every item on the agenda is about parks. And I am very thrilled. All right. With that, also on August 28th, the council meeting, our friends from the Clark County Parks will be visiting to provide an update to council on some of their work throughout the county. Some announcements on some of our previous work. I want to thank those Parks Board members who were able to attend the Policymakers City Tour on July 1st. It was a good opportunity to visit the city and talk about how are things overlapping and connecting with each other. All right, Ridgefield Community Center and Recreation Center. Ridgefield Community and Recreation Center update. Let's talk about this. So, as everybody knows, there's been a change in partnership. The YMCA, after a long discussion and deliberation, decided that it was not within their financial interest to continue with the partnership with the city to build a facility. First off, I do want to specify that the YMCA does more than just build facilities. They operate programs throughout our city. They've operated summer camp programs down in Abrams. They offer meals at Davis Park every week as part of their picnic in the park, serving our community, and those activities are continuing unabated. And we want to thank them for their hard work and all of that. I've said for a long time that the YMCA is not about a building that just happened to be where they were going to be. Their program goes well beyond any brick and mortar of any facility they own, and that work still continues. With that, they have stepped away from the building components of our partnership, and we understand their reasoning, and we wish them the best of luck. That said, we are moving forward with this project. We are at 90% design for the Community and Recreation Center, and we are very actively exploring some funding mechanisms to help fund this facility. We're also starting to do research on what would operations look like for a facility like this. There are plenty of cities that operate their own community and recreation centers, and there's opportunities for us to do that here. That said, we're also open to finding other partners in this as well. So I'm working extensively with the city manager and the directors to help find what are those funding options and to help find those dollars to get this place operational. We are scheduled and ready to go to break ground in spring of 2026. And I feel confident in saying that we will continue to move forward with this project. So if you have any questions about this, or if the public has questions, you're more than welcome to go to Ridgefield Roundtable, or of course call me, and we're happy to discuss it further. But the city needs a community center. It's been identified as a priority by council, and we will move forward with making that a reality. Okay. Other things on my updates. The Ridgefield Raptors have finished their season. I want to say thank you for their hard work. They didn't go to the playoffs this year, but they had a spectacular season. And I was actually looking up attendance. They had over 35,000 people attend throughout the season, which I actually went and double checked that because I was like, really? Yeah, 35,000 people came to visit Ridgefield and watch the Raptors game. So that's wonderful. We have a new Public Works Director and a Deputy Director within Public Works, Ryan Thamert and Miranda Hamilton, respectively, and they will actually be attending our next Parks Board meeting to introduce themselves. And then finally, I do want to wish the team, the city has a Hood to Coast and a Portland to Coast team. It's a staff team that does this wellness activity together, and I'm happy to say that I'm on the Hood to Coast team. So we will be running that or walking that next Friday. Everybody will be sleep deprived and be going from Timberline Lodge to Seaside, Oregon. So if you follow us on social media, you can see how exhausted we actually are. What's coming next? We are going to be talking a lot more about our Parks Revenue Program. We've put out a bid for RFQ, and we are talking to consultants to find someone to help create a program that will help generate some revenue for our parks program. I do want to do a get outside message. With the weather changing and the days getting shorter, and being a runner myself, I want to encourage the public and all runners to be aware of visibility. Make sure that if you are a runner, wear high visibility. Yes, yellow looks good on you, orange looks good on you, right? Go running in that. You don't have to run in black. It's hard to see that. And as for drivers, please be aware as daylight times are shifting. So please pay attention, especially on Pioneer. Very important that we pay attention to that. Lastly, I would like to recognize one of our Parks Board members who was unfortunately absent at our last meeting for a very, very good reason. So I want to congratulate member Jessica Pache on your new baby, Emma Ann Pache. I'm glad to have a new birthday buddy. So with that, we do have a gift to give you.
Everybody did sign it?
Oh, you're awesome. There's a card.
Yeah, so exciting. Is there anything from the board?
Yeah, I tried to respond to some people's inquiries on Ridgefield Facebook groups. People were bringing up concerns about there not really being any neighborhood parks in like the Seven Wells area for kids, and I didn't have a map nearby, but just something I heard out in the community that I thought I'd bring up. And I know we kind of have our plans planned out for the rest of the year, but if it is possible, maybe it's something we could look into.
Can do, thank you.
Anybody else?
Oh, I think I've been following Vancouver Park stuff, and it looks like they have a new inclusive playground at the Fruit Valley Park, and they're just broke ground another one. It sounds like, I forget where the other one is. I think it's off 99th or something like that, but just kind of cool to, I haven't checked it out yet, but I want to go check out their new playground. I don't know if it's similar to the Portland design one or the Marshall Park, but if it is, they should be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'll go with you.
If I might add, Member Pache, the ribbon cutting for Fruit Valley Park is actually on Saturday at 6:30 p.m. So I will actually be there. I know some people.
That'd be fun. Anybody else? On the get outside, piggybacking on yours, Corey, I slept outside last night and tried to watch the meteor shower. So that's kind of fun. I didn't see very many though. I fell asleep. But all right. Well, that is at the end of our meeting. So we'll adjourn at 7:19. I want to talk to. Holly, I'm so proud of you.